most people using Claude are getting maybe 20% of what it can actually do. And it's not because they are prompting it wrong, it's because they never set it up properly. See, there's a version of Claude that most people never touch. It's one where it's plugged into your systems, your email, your calendar, and any other tools that you use across your business, where it has a library of expert skills ready to execute on a single command, where it handles the same tasks over and over again without you copy-pasting prompts and the context between chats manually. And that's exactly what this video is going to be about. I'll show you how to configure Claude so it runs like a real operator, plugged into your tools, trained on your workflows, and doing the things you used to do yourself. Now, before we get into it, let me just explain why most of the people's Claude setup is pretty limited. When most people use Claude, they just go into the chat interface, type some question, and just get an answer back. That's completely fine, and that's how many of people use it. But there's a version of Claude that's doing much more for you. That experience, where you type a question and get an answer back, that's actually the most surface level version of what this tool is. Because Claude was built to do a lot more things than that. There's a layer underneath this chat interface that most people are unaware of. And that layer is where Claude actually stops behaving like just a chatbot and acts more like a system. And that's exactly what this video is about. We are going to cover 3 things. First, how to give your Claude skills, so it's actually an expert in your domain, knows the frameworks, and gives you specific, precise outputs instead of just generalistic outcomes. Second, how to connect your Claude to your tools, whether that's calendar, email, and any other of these tools that you use in your business, so Claude can work inside your actual workflow and not alongside it. And third, the most important one, how to set up Claude projects, so you don't start from scratch and have already templates based on the tasks that you're trying to achieve. Let's start with skills. Now, out the box, the Claude is a generalist. It's smart, but it doesn't know your industry. It doesn't know your tone. It doesn't have any frameworks. It doesn't know how to write a great copy for an email, and even how to create a marketing campaigns that will actually perform. So every time you're asking it for something, it's just starting from zero. And that's why most people feel like that Claude is giving them decent output, but it never feels quite right. It always needs adjusting, additional prompting, and just a lot of back and forth in chat. Skills fix that. A skill is just a set of instructions that you give your Claude once, your SOPs, your frameworks, your voice and tone, and any other style guides, and then it just applies them automatically across all your outputs. Think about it like an onboarding a new hire. You wouldn't bring someone onto your team and give them new tasks every day with zero context. You'd sit down with them on day 1 and explain to them your tone, how you operate, what SOPs are in place, what are your style rules, and all of that kind of things. And then they just carry that with them going forward. That's exactly what skills do for Claude. And the good news is, you don't really need to build them from scratch. There are tons of skills available on the internet for any kind of task, whether that's marketing, copywriting, support, accessing your documents or emails, anything you can think of. So let me show you how to actually add skills to your Claude. Once you go into the Claude AI page, you click here in sidebar called Customize, and then in here there is Skills tab, as you can see. And as you see, I have Cold Email here, While Reel Generator skill, and even Skill Creator. This is basically all the skills that are already uploaded here. And as you can see, each skill basically contains a few files and a key file named SkillMD, which holds the instructions for Claude how to actually do this certain thing. And in order to add a new skill, you just click this plus sign here, and you can either browse the public library provided by Claude, but it's pretty limited and there are limited skills here. But what you can also do is just go online in the internet and just find a couple skills. For example, a really famous one is marketing skills by Corey Haynes, which basically have a lot of skills, as you can see here, related to marketing, whether that's AI SEO page optimization, cold email, ACO audit, form CRO, and a lot of things related to marketing. The way you can use them, you basically need to go in here, download the zip file, and once it's downloaded, you just go in Claude, click plus sign, create skill, upload a skill, click here. Then you go into your downloaded zip file, unzip it, go into the skills folder in here, find the skill you really want to use, for example, cold email, make sure to zip it again and just upload this thing. Once it's uploaded, it will appear just like this. And as you can see, it has the SkillMD file which describes how to write a good cold email, and also a lot of other things like references and EWAS, which basically make sure the Claude has some references and a lot of other context and information on how to write good cold emails. Once that's uploaded, you can go into a new chat and just ask Claude, for example, this thing. Hey, create me a cold email sequence targeting solar installers selling lead gen services to them. And let's send it. As you can see, Claude will read our skill. It will identify that this was related to cold email. It will read the cold email skill, basically all the skill MD file which describes how to write a good cold email. And then based on this, as you can see, it started writing 5 email cold sequence targeting solar installers for lead gen services. And let's just wait and it will show up in a minute. Alright, so it finished generating, and as you can see, it created 5 email cold sequence targeting solar leads selling them lead gen services. And the same thing you can do for any other skills that's here. So as I showed you, you can do AI SEO, competitor analysis, copywriting, customer research, email sequences, and all of these things that are listed here. Moving on to the tool connections. Now, this is a part that probably most of the people don't even realize that it exists in Claude. Because up until this point, most of the people's workflows look like this. So they work in their tools, emails, spreadsheets, documents, and they just hop in Claude to perform a certain task, copy the output and paste it into their tool. They are essentially the bridge between the Claude and their tools. This is a super inefficient way to do this thing. Claude, especially through the desktop app or cowork, can access your local file system and connect to tools you actually use on your day-to-day basis. That means Claude can read your emails, connect to your calendar, pull data from your PC, and do any kind of thing you can even imagine of. So now you just stop being the middleman. Claude does it automatically for you and you don't need to copy-paste outputs back and forth. And once you set it up, everything just gets more streamlined. Let me show you exactly how you can set it up. Alright, let me show you how to connect tools to your Claude. So once you go to Claude.ai, you click Customize here in the sidebar, go to Connectors, and as you can see, there are plenty of tools that you can connect your Claude to. For example, browse Connectors here, and as you can see, there are tons of tools like TripAdvisor, Resi, Instacart, Spotify, and just a lot of other things that you can connect Claude to, and it will be able to read data and even push data to these systems, creating a workflow inside of your tools that you already use. So ones that you'll probably find most useful will be like Microsoft tools, Gmail, your Google Drive, and other things like that you usually use during your work, especially if you work with documents and a lot of spreadsheets. And look, you don't really have to connect everything at once. The fastest way to just start is to pick one tool that you use every single day and just connect that first. For most people, that's probably email or Google Drive. Get one connection working properly and then expand from there. Now, before we continue, if you are a business owner who's trying to figure out how to use or implement AI into his business, that's exactly one of the things that we are helping with at Systems Department. If you want us to help you identify AI opportunities in your business and then actually implement them, check out the first link in the description. But either way, let's just finish with the most important step, which is putting all of this together into a Claude project. So up until this point, you probably already have your skills loaded and your tools configured and connected to Claude. But right now, every time you open a new Claude session, you are starting fresh. New chat without any memory and a blank slate. That's where most people hit the wall, because they set up everything once, and then once they just close the tab, everything disappears and they just have to start from scratch again. That's exactly what projects solve. A project is essentially a dedicated workspace inside Claude where your instructions, your uploaded documents, your connected tools, and your conversation history all live together, persisted across sessions. Think of it like a dedicated space for each specific function of your business. Think about it. You wouldn't have your head of marketing and financial analyst sharing the same desk, using the same notepad and reading each other's files. Instead, they each have their own space, their own context, and their own resources to work with. And that's exactly what projects allows you to build in Claude. One project for client work, one project for LinkedIn content, another one for YouTube, and so on and so on and so on. Each one configured separately for the specific function inside your business or the outcomes that you are trying to achieve. Let's go through it really quickly. Let me show you how to create a project inside Claude. So you go to Projects tab here, and as you can see, I already have a couple projects here, but let's create a new one. Click New Project here and just give it a name. For example, let's just give task name and just describe like testing projects. Create project. Now, as you can see, it has its own chats here, your memory, and instructions. For instructions, you can define certain actions that it should follow. For example, if this is for LinkedIn content, you can put your specific guidelines for your LinkedIn post in here, and it will make sure to follow them every single time you start a new chat from this particular project. Also, you can upload reference files and add the text content for this one to provide references for Claude how your content should look, or maybe provide a couple viral post examples from LinkedIn. Let me show you a couple projects I have here. For example, I have this IT long form, which basically is for YouTube long form writing, and here I have a couple reference scripts from my other videos and also my instructions, which basically describes how Claude should create a new script for my video. As you can see, it has like step 1, analyze the input, choose script type from the references, then extract my style, and then finally write the script in my format and output it. Also, as you see, every single conversation that you have across project is saved in here and categorized by project, so you can easily find it and get back to things and just focus on one single task rather than having a generalist Claude which does a lot of other things for you and just creates a big mess inside your workspace. And as you can understand now, you can just go on and build one of these forever repeating function in your business. Client delivery, reporting, outreach, internal communication, LinkedIn copywriting, YouTube copywriting, and anything like that. And each one will have its own project, its own instructions, references, and even memories that are shared across the project. Now, that's exactly the setup you need to put in place to make sure you're using your Claude to its maximum potential. And the good news is that you can configure these things one by one. Either load a skill using one of the templates that I showed you from one of the public repos, or just connect one of your tools like your calendar, your email, or Notion so the Claude can actually see your world and work inside of it. Just pick one thing and get it working, then build from there. Because the main thing is setting up Claude so the work happens with less and less input with you over time. That's the difference between just prompting AI and actually running it. That was all from me for today. I hope it was genuinely helpful, and I'll see you in the next one.